Good evening again, and welcome back to Thursday's edition of the One Take Livecast. Here we're going to be joined by Phil, who runs a t-shirt company called Loyalty and Devotion, and we're going to get down to the origins, the creativity, the idea, and also his barber business as well. Let's invite him in. Loyalty Devotion joined. Let's invite them in. Here we go.
And let's go live.
Hey Jax.
Hello, Phil. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. Yourself?
Good, very good. Happy, glad you could come on the show, and I love the t-shirt.
Thank you. It's actually, I did a post earlier about it being probably my favorite of this year. So, yeah, definitely pretty proud of it.
It's my favorite too. There was
Nice.
a lot to choose. There was a lot to choose, but there's something. I mean, come on, it's it's Skeletor.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with a bit of Master Universe, can you?
No. I mean, when I was a kid, probably kids wanted the Castle Grayskull. I wanted Snake Mountain.
Yeah. Did you ever get it?
No, but unfortunately not. But I got other stuff, so I was happy with that.
Yeah. Nice. Do you collect any toy lines at the moment?
I do. I am a toy collector. Mostly I keep it sort of like thing at the moment. My biggest in my collections are my Darth Vader collection, my Ghostbusters collection, my Ninja Turtles collection, and assortments of superheroes and video game.
Yeah. Nice. I
And
don't know if you can see. We've got a few bits.
I have that Mr. Stay Puffed.
Yeah, I've got the Firehouse, I've pretty much got the entire Real Ghostbusters line. I just everything's getting packed up at the moment because we're moving soon. So some stuff's still on display. But I've got like display cabinets all over the house, and my wife hates me. So.
Are you moving far or just near somewhere else?
We're moving nearby. We're staying in Highworth, which is a town just outside of Swindon. So, like, I was born and raised here, and yeah, we're just moving. So we need a bigger house basically because my barber shop had its own kind of building last year, and the building closed. So I've been I set up basically a studio here in the house, but our house is far too small. So because not only is our spare bedroom a stock room, but downstairs one of the rooms is a barber shop as well. So it kind of it's got a bit more of a necessity now to move.
Cool. Please talk about your barbershop first.
Oh yeah. So I retrained as a barber in 2014. I trained in Shoreditch in London, which is quite a popular place to learn to barber. And I was very lucky in that I came into barbering around the time where traditional barbering made a massive resurgence. So, and I also, I mean, my beard used to be down here, and I was really lucky in my social media name. I was the first bearded barber, like, in the UK. There was one other guy in Ohio, but, the shops were so different that I managed to create a niche in my area for barbering. And with, like, my kind of vibe and aesthetic, like, I just created this whole community from that. And I was just, I say it's part luck. I often say that like that, but like a lot of it was down to obviously a lot of graft and a lot of good social media stuff, which I'm sure whenever you run any kind of, whether it's a business or a podcast or whatever, or a zine.
Oh yeah.
It's all down to how you interact with people and building that organic growth. And I one of my favorite sayings for barbering is that it's 50% ability and 50% the ability to hold a conversation. So like the way I am in my private life is I'm quite quiet and reserved, and I quite like, apart from at hardcore shows where I kind of go a bit crazy, but I quite like the quiet life. We live in a small village, and in the Cotswolds, and I'm quite happy with that. And but like my persona when I'm working is, you know, very sociable, very like, you know, just a reflection of how I would want someone to run a business that I was going to. So
Yeah, I totally understand that. Do you miss having a long beard?
I do and I don't. Like, I actually love this version of myself at the moment. I'm probably the happiest I've ever been in the last couple of years since I met my wife. We actually got married last June, and we
Congratulations.
have. Yeah, thank you. And you know, we're very like supportive of each other. Like, I'm really proud of what she does, and you know, like she supports me in everything I do and tolerates my toy buying, you know, mess that is my life.
But if she has an obsession as well, then, you know, mi casa e su casa, you know, there we go.
I mean, unfortunately, necessity negates that. Like, pretty much, I've commandeered the house. 90% of the stuff in here is probably mine, but I'm quite lucky. We're very similar in like. She, you know, she loves tattoo culture as well, like I do. She loves a lot of the stuff that I grew up loving.
T-shirts.
So, yeah. Oh yeah.
T-shirts.
I think one of the nicest things about Becky and our relationship is that we've always had like this understanding about the fact that like what I do isn't 9 to 5. Like most people, especially being in relationships, has been quite tricky because I mean, whether it's ADHD or whatever, like my brain is literally on fire all the time, and
I have that.
you know, yeah. I mean, it's not being officially diagnosed, but like I have as many traits as you could possibly have.
I can tell.
But like, you know, I'm literally like 1 minute I'm writing lyrics, I'm writing music, you know, I'm coming up with ideas for the website, I'm editing photos, my brain doesn't really stop. So, and I think it all comes down to, yeah. And then there's the barbering as well. So, I mean, basically I do 3 different businesses. I do loyalty and devotion, I do out-of-step barbershop, and I also do pin-up photography, burlesque / OnlyFans stuff for people that shoot in the adult industry. So like I have 3 different things that I do, but they all kind of integrate because barbering's always had that kind of pin-up culture vibe, and loyalty is obviously a reflection of, you know, that creativity with, you know, my outlet basically, and loyalty has roots in hardcore and the punk scene. And I've been involved in music for about 25 years now, back to like the age 16 when I phoned up my parents to ask them if a band from New Jersey called Ensign could stay the night because they were playing in a tiny venue in my hometown. And from that, you know, my parents had tons of bands stay the night, from like Terror, 25 to Life, like Doom Riders, which is members of Converge. Like I've had so many like different bands over the years like crash at my house that I've got, you know, this plethora of contacts and friendships that I formed, and it's all stems from like that love of hardcore and punk. And
oh yeah, I like that music.
Yeah. What sort of music are you listening to at the moment?
Well, my playlist I have on my Spotify is called The Blender, but I do get new recommendations as well.
Yeah.
The last song, so I could be listening to, you know, Biohazard, and then I could be listening to Tina Turner's GoldenEye, and then you know, themes from a band I quite like. There's a lot of bands I can recommend, band I recommend, which you might like, is called. There's a lot, but these are 3 I recommend. Incursion, and Vanity Kills. There's a new band in my area of South Wales called Ofnus, and that's spelled OFNUS. There's Democritus. I'm trying to name a lot of the. So there's Vanity Kills.
Yeah.
Incursion.
Yeah. Got that. Writing it down.
Democritus.
Yep.
Which sounds like a Roman centurion transformer, I know.
I was actually in South Wales last night for a hardcore show.
You should have said. Like, we could have done it. I could have bought my thing.
Yeah. I mean, I had no idea you were based in South Wales. So, So
That's all right. I didn't know you were in Wiltshire.
No, well there you go. E-Town Concrete played in Newport last night, and they're one of my favorite bands. So
Oh, nice.
yeah. I posted a few videos, but yeah, there's some really good South Wales hardcore has always had like an amazing, incredible community in the scene.
Yeah,
it's very inclusive, and it's probably my favorite music scene to go to. And I've kind of traveled all around the world with music, so I'm quite happy in that respect that I've gone to quite a lot of shows in America, but I've also when I signed the first band I had signed to my label was No Second Chance, and who went on to sign for lots of other labels. But we did 2 European tours, like 2 weeks, so I got to go, and tour around different places with them.
Another band I recommend who are from Wales, and they've done touring Download Festival. Now they're not hardcore, but they cover. I'm sure you're familiar with them. Punk Rock Factory.
Okay, I didn't know if you were gonna say it. So I saw Florence Black last week. Have you heard them?
Yes, I've seen them live.
Yeah. I was really impressed with them. I bought their CD. They supported Airborne in Frome, so I went to see them last week.
But Punk Rock Factory, I recommend.
Punk Rock Factory are awesome. So I don't know. I think I've actually got the CD over here. I bought one of their CDs when I saw them at Slam Dunk last year. So yeah, they've made some incredible headways for a band that is basically just doing covers and stuff. So
great covers.
Yeah, like I bought the CD I bought was the childhood theme tune ones, which was amazing because I think just about every series, every one of my favorite shows was on there, like Round the Twist and Denver the Last Dinosaur, and then obviously like Ghostbusters.
We're both broom cupboard boys.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, that series just makes me feel so happy whenever I listen to it. But I mean, I think Punk Rock Factory are just a generalized reflection of like the way that music can make you feel. Like you can listen to a piece of music and be moved by it and be inspired by it and also inspired to be creative with it. So I wouldn't be doing any of this, the barbering, the photography. I mean, the photography came from shooting bands. I used to go to hardcore shows in the late 90s, early 2000s. I literally used to take photos with a disposable camera. And I have photos of like legendary hardcore bands like Strife, Scarhead, and Snapcase. I would always manage to get like the guitarist jump in midair, and this is with a disposable camera. I couldn't even like check, it wasn't digital, so I'd develop the films and then see how good the photos were. So,
any discharge?
Pardon?
Did you go to a discharge gig?
I'll tell you what, like I've honestly genuinely been to so many shows over the years, like I sometimes forget who I've seen. I wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if I had like seen Discharge at some point. There aren't many UK hardcore bands that I haven't seen because, like I say, I've been going to shows regularly for nearly 25 years now. So, which is absolutely insane and also quite horrifying when I think about my age and at that time period. But
you're only the meaning, the meaning of life.
Well, there you go. We can't prolong it. The only real thing in life is death. But while we're around to live it, we gotta make the most of it, and that's kind of the whole vibe of I try and do with loyalty and stuff. So loyalty. Yeah. Loyalty never really started.
My question before we get on to loyalty. So all the photos of the merchandise is that all you on the camera?
Yeah, pretty much. So I do send care packages out to models around the world, but there's very few of them that I haven't personally taken photos of. So, like for example, like I happened to be in Salt Lake City a couple of years ago, and I did a photo shoot there, and I also organised one with a really well-known tattoo model called Queen of Blood in Las Vegas when I was there.
Nice.
That was just like happenstance. I just happened to be in the area. She happened to live there. And you know what I mean? Like I'll message people on Instagram and stuff and just see if they'll sort of pose. But I'm quite lucky in that because I've been doing photography for 15 years, I have an online portfolio, and that portfolio has a lot of references. So, you know, model safety is obviously paramount with everything like that. So, you know, building a good reputation with that as well goes hand in hand with like the photography side.
Yeah. So, loyalty and devotion, lovely T-shirts. They have great features. You know, some are funny, some are make a statement, some are badass. Obviously, you've talked about as a photographer, as a barber, and everything. But where did the idea of becoming a merchandiser happen?
So, I mean, this all goes back to starting out at the hardcore scene. So, like in the hardcore scene, like when I started going to shows in the early '90s, like early 2000s, like. So first of all, I started putting up bands tonight. Then I started a zine, which was like a printed magazine. I had a website for 15 years called Straight Edge Lifestyle, which is probably the reason a lot of straight edge people follow me is because of that website. It was one of the go-to websites on the subject of straight edge culture for about definitely a decade. Ended up amassing like 1.3 million views. And I used to write articles on being straight edge and that drug-free culture. And so from that, I also had my own record label in 2004 called Go Team Records that I released like 3 or 4 albums for various bands that were touring bands. My photography name is Get Stoked. We actually did print a 100-page full-color magazine called Get Stoked. That had its own website as well. Back when Suicide Girls was kind of getting bigger, so I had my own version of that, I guess, which wasn't successful. But you know, one of the things about me is that I'll keep doing stuff until something clicks. But yeah, my straight edge website is where a lot of people know me and from. And then I had a clothing line in 2009 called For Life Clothing, which was strictly straight edge, so like drug-free, sober kind of message, but like. Again, very similar to Loyalty. In fact, some of the artists that did designs for that still design for Loyalty to this day. And the first band to ever wear a For Life t-shirt on stage happened to be 4 Year Strong, because I was literally interviewing them in 2009 for my website. And I just said to Alan and Dan, do you mind wearing my t-shirt on stage? And so like the first t-shirt ever worn on stage that I ever made was by 4 Year Strong, who I then went on to do beard and hair trims for when I trained to be a barber. So there's lots of like circle backs, and what I find with like music and punk rock is that you have these communities, but they're quite close knit. So once you have been in the scene a little while, it all comes back. Anyway, back to your question, Loyalty started off the back of all of that. Basically, cool. I was very much aware when I did Straight Edge Lifestyle website and also my Straight Edge Clothing that obviously I was only pandering to a particular niche, and I wanted to make clothing that spoke to me but also spoke to other people in a way that I didn't get independent retailers. Even like now I still look at other brands, and there's very few that I wouldn't say I don't respect, but like there's very few that put themselves out on a line in the way that I feel like I do, in the punk rock way that I do, that is still true to my roots. Like I love trolling trolls. So like when I made Make Racists Afraid Again in 2018/19, I was kind of prepared to be called the names I got called, and you can scroll through the past messages about like the amount of hate we've got for that top from like far right people, but at the same time, like I literally don't give a fuck. Huh?
Fuck 'em.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. But anyway, so Loyalty started in 2010. It was basically, I wanted to do something that, you know, was inspired by like American hardcore culture, but like skateboarding, surfing, all things that I've done at different points in my life. I'm a keen surfer and paddleboarder. I do have a skateboard, I'm shit at it, but
so am I. I roller skate.
I mean, I grew up in that whole thing. My barbershop's got skate decks everywhere. My walls got skate decks everywhere. So
sticker bombs.
You might like, yeah, my car is sticker bomb, like the Princess Leia there.
Oh, Your Highness.
Yeah. I got a few more like there and stuff. And
yeah.
A few.
How long have you been? If you don't mind me asking, how long have you been straight edge for?
I don't mind you asking at all. I've been straight edge 23 years this September. I claimed edge at age 18, 2 weeks after my 18th birthday, and I never looked back, because for me, like my teenage years were quite a hard time growing up and dealing with things like you know usual shit like bullies and stuff and like getting picked on and things, but also like not really having a place in the world or feeling like I had a place. And I really struggled with depression, anxiety, and
Yeah.
the point of suicidal kind of thoughts, which were obviously like medicated. I obviously like sought help and therapy and stuff, but I think for me, if I hadn't been straight edge, like my idols at the time were like Bradley Nowell of Sublime or like Kurt Cobain of like Nirvana, both fucking OD'd on like died on drugs or whatever, suicide. So and there's so many examples of that in the grunge scene, and you know I grew up in that 90s kind of you know negative kind of that vibe, you know, between grunge and ska punk and hardcore and new metal and stuff. I do believe truly that if I hadn't have claimed straight edge and gone down that path, I don't think I'd be here today, and I certainly wouldn't be doing all this. Like all of that motivation, all that kind of graft and hard work came from falling in love with the music, the message, and the positivity that, like, I mean, there is some negative connotations to straight edge, but like for the overall consensus, like straight edge is basically just living a sober life and trying to have a positive impact on others.
Yeah. I'm teetotal.
Nice.
Yeah, people. By the way, this isn't wine.
No.
Yeah, I'm a teetotaler, so I've been one for 5 years, so I get it.
That's awesome. I mean, it's really funny because like when I first became straight edge, when I first claimed straight edge, like literally girls would ask me if I was in a cult, and like lads would ask me if I was in a gang, because back in the late 90s, straight edge had such a weird culture and way of looking at. But I think now, like kids that claim straight edge, it's not the same kind of thing. Like it's like if you think back to the early 2000s, there were pubs on every corner, and now there are gyms on every corner, and people are more interested in healthy lifestyles, healthy eating, and healthy living. That same kind of 90s kind of that whole like go out, get wrecked, do drugs. A lot of that's changed. Like I think the world has wisened up a lot, and that's a good thing. I've never minded with like the straight edge growing or the idea of living a teetotal life. Like I think if someone can do that and be happy, like that's the biggest reward you can have. And I always advocate happiness in people. Like, you know, if you're not happy with the life you live, make a change of it. But and that also goes for a lot of stuff that, you know, I put out there in my social media. I'm very vocal with things I believe in, whether it's racism, sexism, homophobia, or whatever. Or even if it's something like just occasionally posting the fact that I'm straight edge. I don't give a shit if like you're straight edge or not, but like I am a straight edge business owner, and I'm, you know, gonna put my views out there, and whether it loses me followers or not, it's not really like, you know, again with me and loyalty, it's being true to myself. And I only ever post social media posts when my mind is like on it. Like I don't post when like I'm in a depressive slant, and I sometimes feel that that's detrimental to the business, but I always believe in being sincere and being sincere to like the whole aim of this whole thing, which is, I mean, loyalty is basically a glorified hobby. It's a very expensive hobby. So, you know, I'm not rolling around with like a Lexus or anything like that. Like I have a Ford Focus Estate, which was bought as a family car, that's just good for, you know, going to a barber events, you know, and setting up shop and stuff. So, I, you know, do a lot of different things, but all of the things I do, I'm passionate about. And I've always tried to, when people ask me about what I do and how I do it and why I do it, I always try and sort of infer that, like, it's not necessarily about what you do, whether you work in a factory or you work in the NHS or if you're a teacher, it's doing something that fills your heart with, like, happiness, you know, and trying to, like, make a positive impact on people.
You are one hell of a human being. I like you.
Don't do that. Don't like. I don't need. We don't need.
No,
you can boost my ego at the end.
Nah. You are one hell of a human being. I like you, and it's nice that you know, like you said, you're passionate about this. It's nice to see T-shirts with a a sort of factor, like make races fade again or straight edge t-shirts. I think that's important to make a comment, make a message, because at the end of the day, not everyone wants to drink, not everyone wants to smoke, not everyone wants to drive, and not everyone wants to, see racial shit graffitied on the walls or people with racial stuff. So by doing your merchandise, you've got those people who are against those evil values. Fight me, people. They are evil values. If you're a racist, a homophobe, or just a prejudiced pissant, you're evil. So wearing those t-shirts, it's good.
I mean, let's be real. Like, 98, 99% of the world, most people are pretty, like, do you know what I mean? They're fine. You have the 1 or 2% that want to disrupt the equilibrium and inflict hate on people. And it doesn't matter what race, religion they're from. Hate is hate regardless. So it doesn't matter what thought process they're going through. But, we're unfortunately in a really strange time for humanity at the moment where, the 90s seemed like it was all good apart from like the Rodney King beatings in, Los Angeles and stuff like that. But, obviously we had the Stephen Lawrence case and things like that and the institutional racism that came from that report. But we got to this point, I think, in humanity where, Obama was elected first black president, and then it just went up shit's creek. Brexit happened here. A lot of xenophobia came through. I've seen personally firsthand some xenophobia in, Germany. There's a lot of hate for immigrants and stuff. And I think the trouble with the world is this idea of borders and boundaries. Like, we have this beautiful planet that we're destroying slowly. And not to get too deep into it, but the media will distract you from your daily lives, telling you about in the UK about Harry and Meghan, for example, but not tell you that what's going on in Ukraine and the war there, and the fact that there's a fucking war in Europe. And
newspapers. Don't get me.
The world is too afraid to go toe to toe with Russia, and I think there's going to be a point where something like that may have to happen, and I think I'm good with that. I think I'm good with defending humanity and freedom of speech and all that. And in the same way, a lot of people don't know that countries like Hungary, for example, were trying to outlaw gay couples walking about in public a couple of years ago, and I'm pretty sure that Poland was on the same kind of front. So there's a lot of issues in Europe with homophobia as well. Obviously, transphobia is a massive issue in the UK at the moment. It's not even an issue. It's a fucking afterthought. Trans
it's
people.
Not an issue. But the problem is, it was always around, but then it got made taboo by some hierarchy. You didn't have this problem in ancient Greece and ancient Rome. You had same-sex couples. You had people who weren't as sure of their sex, and then they decided, no, I want to be this sex and everything, and everybody just went on by and did their thing.
The trouble is, the UK's got a lauded history of cross-dressing celebrities, like Dame Evna Everett, for example.
Danny LaRue.
Yeah,
Lily Savage.
You can probably list loads. So it's okay, celebrities, but we're suddenly going to be outraged about someone wanting to use a toilet. I think not. It's just distraction techniques, and unfortunately, because we're in a economic decline at the moment, there is a massive dip in people's wealth and their expectations of where they should be in their life. And so when they haven't got what they think they should have, the first thing they do is look to hate. And unfortunately, it's just an issue of education and people talking about it. And I think, I never intended to necessarily put loyalty out on the political kind of the front in that sense. But then I literally grew up with my best friend at 5 years old was Mexican. My friends, I had a Pakistani kid start in my class, again, when I was 4 or 5. And I remember the names kids and adults would call those boys, and like I say, it just happened to be that I was the one chosen to show this Mexican American around, and I became best friends with him. And funnily enough, that he's my link with Ghostbusters, because we used to have sleepovers and watch Ghostbusters and stuff together. So,
awesome.
And I grew up my favorite author, two favorite authors are Michael Crichton, John Grisham. John Grisham wrote A Time to Kill, and then obviously like Harper Lee wrote To Kill a Mockingbird. And reading those as a sort of 8-9-year-old boy and being really impacted by like civil rights, especially when like, you know, at that age I already had multiple friends from different ethnic communities, and in Swindon that at that point in time that was really unusual. Like we were from a very white middle class, you know, neighborhood. Like those families didn't exist in our neighborhoods, you know, pre when those kids started in my school. So like, you know, there wasn't you know, thinking back it was quite interesting, but like looking forward now, I'm so happy that we live in a time and a place where, you know, people like kids growing up now wouldn't even think that that's unusual, but like in the 80s that was really fucking unusual. So
When I was in school and I saw kids of different color, I never saw a difference, if you know what I mean. I mean, we all some people had blonde hair, some people had blue eyes. When I saw a different skin color, that's what I saw. It's like some people. I never saw imperfection. I never saw disgust. I never saw, you know, an odd one out. I mean, the only things as humans have all the same is the shit and the piss and the blood. You know, to go graphic.
I mean, all of that, you know, hatred, all that indoctrination, and all that kind of like that, all of that vibe that comes from the way people are raised, that's taught. Like that isn't inbuilt. Like children are colorblind.
Yeah.
Like we're all colorblind to race until someone points out that no, that person's, you know, from there, or this person.
And I hated.
Yeah,
I hated the hatred. I hated it. I hated.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
I think most people do. I don't think like there's even a debate.
I still hate it.
Yeah. I mean, so do I. That's why I ended up doing the tops and stuff. But you know, basically, like I wanted to use my. It wasn't even a business decision, because to be honest, if I'm being completely blunt and completely honest, like loyalty generally, you know, it's not a profit-making exercise. It's an exercise in breaking even. And with the Make Race Afraid Again, even so, because, and again, I don't know how much people know about the background of loyalty, but I actually donated all the profit from 2020, which would have been about £700. I donated to various belts. So in America, like when you're arrested, you're sent to jail, and if you're rich and if you're upper class, you have your lawyer bail you out. They have bail bonds, basically. So all the profit from the summer of the 2020 sales of Make Races Afraid Again went on bail bond, like charities. So I donated to like the Minnesota Freedom Fund and various charities that like my friends either worked with or like told me about. So while you know, loyalty directly doesn't make a lot of money, like it was nice using the money that I did make from those shirts that particular year, you know, and they actually went towards you know, helping to bail people out that were, you know, unjustly arrested. So
bless you.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, if anything comes from loyalty, it's something positive like that, you know. And I think as well, just going back to what we were saying about whether it's homophobia, sexism, racism, whatever, it's about like putting yourself on the line and being an ally to people. Like, you know, I'm obviously like, you know, I'm straight, like I have some, you know, I think everyone has like you know,
tendencies,
things in their teenage years that maybe like, you know, they don't want to
curiosities,
tendencies. Yeah, I think we've all been there. I mean, I've definitely got like, I've always had like a fucking crush on like Brad Pitt, and like Chris Pratt's pretty funny. Ryan Reynolds is a particular one for me, but yeah, like I mean, for me, like just especially at the moment where I can see people being marginalized, I think putting myself on the line, whether it gets me kudos, whether it gets people like being like, oh, you know, fucking loyalty and devotion are at it again. Like, I don't care if people think it's a gimmick, because I know that I'm having an impact on people. Like, for example, I did the Stay Rad, the pro-trans top, not because it's because it's a massive issue at the moment, but I actually have 3 kids from 3 families that I cut hair for of varying ages. So we're not talking children, we're talking teenagers or into adults. that are all transitioning. So I've been personally impacted by seeing people transition, and I've done things like I've cut, like, you know, a girl's hair that's transitioning to a boy. I've, you know, cut hair for, you know, different people from different like areas of that sort of, you know, those sort of the ways that they're now living their lives, and, you know, the pronouns they're now
Yeah.
using. So it's been interesting for me, like with my barbering career, seeing that as well, because obviously I do cut hair for both men, and I do pixie cuts for women sometimes. I do hair patterns as well. Not that I advertise it, but you know, mainly like traditional barbering. But like, yeah. So I mean, Stay Rad came from just letting some of my transitioning kids and some of my kids that have been coming out know that like I'm there. Like, I might not see them all the time or chat to them. Obviously, chat to them in the barbershop, but like, you know, that there's always a safe space somewhere, you know. No clapping, no clapping.
No, I'm sorry. You deserve it. Okay, well, I will. I'm sorry. I am applauding a good human being right here, and I am not taking the piss or anything. I applaud you, sir.
Yeah.
I applaud you. I mean, what we've been. I mean, obviously, we're going to be talking about our thing, but honestly, to hear all that, it just shows that there is goodness in this world. You know, there is
Yeah,
goodness,
I
and
mean,
we come in all sizes, colors, and shapes. But to see a, you know, such a good person like you, and you're voicing your thoughts and opinions, and also just, you know, you've got your heart literally on your, well, not literally, I've not seen all your arm tattoos, but you've got your heart literally on your sleeve, and you know, you've seen the world in a way, like you traveled, but also while cutting hair, you've heard so many different, you're talking to these people,
yeah,
you're talking to a different person each time, you're hearing a different story, you're making a person feel comfortable, you're making a person feel beautiful, you're making a person feel relieved, and I think that is, in humanity, that is great humility, and
well, thank
I,
you.
I,
I appreciate
I can't thank,
it.
I can't thank you on behalf of the world, but I can, as for me, as a person, I thank you for being
Yeah,
a good person.
well, I mean, you know, I've always believed in the idea of like paying it forward. Like, you do one good deed and then someone pays that good deed forward. So like, whether it's someone listening to this conversation, whether it's someone that like reads something that I've
Yeah,
written on social media, it's like, you know,
I hope so.
you know, it doesn't matter what people do with their lives, but like, I always feel like you get more out of your life if you try and live by the example you wish others to live by. I don't know, like, I'm not going to get deep and philosophical, but like, I am a deep and philosophical person. I
Yes,
always, I always have 3 or 4 books on the go. I read a lot of science fiction kind of books. This is my current one, The End of
very
Blade.
nice.
It's a bit Lord of the Ringsy, but it's pretty cool. I've
Well,
recently joined it. Huh?
well, my platform, people think, well, I've spoken about this, what I do, why I do the show for. It's to plug people in of many talents or many skills and many areas. And, you know, I want to know that person, or I want to plug in their profession, their Phil. And to plug you in today fills my heart with joy, because I mean, you've been on a lot of shows, and you've been on this show and that show and everything, but to be a catalyst and put you on my show, and to see, who's this person? Oh, he also does this. He also does this. Wow, he is speaking great volumes of humility just here. And as a broadcaster right now, I'm very proud to share you to the world and the viewers.
I appreciate that. I do appreciate it. I think one of my main character
That's
traits is
my reward.
I don't, I don't always do too well with praise. I think it's just, I think that's part of why I work so hard at all the different projects that I
Humble.
set my mind onto. I never feel like, it's not imposter syndrome. I never feel
Oh, I know.
like, you know, I'm worthy, or like I always feel like I got something to prove, like, especially in the hardcore scene, like a scene that's so uncompromising and so So there's so much depth to, but there's so many intricacies to it as well.
Yeah, but you know, my reward, what I get out of this, saying doing the deed is its own reward.
Yeah,
Well, putting these people on my show is my reward.
yeah,
I seek nothing from it. I do not seek followers. I do not seek celebrityism or anything. If
yeah.
that happens, thank you. Stay along for the ride. But honestly, my purpose, my goal, how does Toby Maguire quote it in Spider-Man? I can't remember, but is to put
Something about
people on the.
responsibility. Something about responsibility and it being great. I don't know.
Yeah, we've got
No, you got it on
great
your
power
own.
comes great responsibility.
There you go.
Yeah, but not that
There you
one. The one he said. The one he says at the ending of the movie. This is my gift, my curse.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, anyway. But to have people on my show like that is my reward.
Do you
Is to get them out there and.
Do you have much of a?
To get them out there.
You collect the comics as well?
Oh, I'm basically. I like to watch things. I like to read things. I like to play things. If it's a comic book I like, or a book, if it's a video game I like, I'll play it. If it's a cartoon, I am super nerd.
Good.
I'm we're the same.
Yeah.
But and speaking of nerd, oh sorry.
No, I was just saying I can tell with the the vibe.
Yeah, a really good vibe. I mean, and when I visit Wiltshire again, I'll hit you up. But yeah, some of the stuff that you've put on the t-shirts as well have, some of it is really badass, but some of it is awfully funny. Two designs which I found really funny and absolutely brilliant was first it was the Star Wars with Luke with his
Yeah.
he's going to show it everyone.
Yeah. Well, this one.
I love that.
It's just a bit sad. He's getting old. He can't get his saber up,
Oh, that made me funny. And the other one is the April O'Neil pizza one, where she's got her.
Yeah, I know.
And it's nice and purple. There it is. I love that one. Talk about eating out. It's that is great.
I mean, she was.
And the purple is lovely.
Fantasies right there. So.
And I'm so glad you've gone for a purple background. Donatello.
Yeah. So I didn't have actually very many toys growing up. My parents we weren't like.
Neither did I.
But like. I actually did have Donatello, so that was me living my Donatello dream, just putting a purple T-shirt out there. So
the toys I remember as a kid, I had Lego, which was great. My dad was always good at that, and the X-Men Burger King action figures, love them as well. But I love Donatello's my favorite as well. As if I can get it in this light, there he is.
Yeah.
Donatello's my favorite, but I love the Ninja Turtles pizza one. So I love that also. There's T-shirts with humor on. It's nice to have humor. But what just got you in your head to do? Okay, how about April O'Neil? Where did that come from?
I mean, to be honest, like a lot of the times I'll just be on a dog walk or it'll be late at night, and I'll just suddenly think of a phrase, and that phrase will spawn like a design idea. With that one, it was done with an artist called Matt Young, and so like when I started Loyalty, I obviously did a lot of designs myself, but the idea of Loyalty and Devotion is to not only support bands in the music scene, i.e. the record label side, but we work with a lot of up-and-coming artists as well to give them kind of, I'm in a position, luckily, where I can like pay, obviously, like, decent amounts for designs. So like Matt Young, who did that one, I just basically said this is what I want, and some artists I give like really detailed briefs to, and then others who just know exactly what I want, and Matt is very good at understanding where I'm coming from. I just said like, classic April O'Neil 80s style. I kind of wanted her in this sexy pose, and I mean, in all credit to Matt, like he came up with a lot of the smaller details in that, like all four turtles feature in the smaller print of it, and also Splinter's quote is even like on the pizza box. Like I don't know if you can see, like I'll read it out, but like you can see there's like a quote there, and it's literally like the quote that's like, "Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza," and all of that.
Oh, from the movie, from the
Yeah,
movie.
all of that detail was Matt, like just nerding out.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I mean, I love that. I love that T-shirt. I mean, that and of course, the one you're wearing, top favourites for me. But
I mean,
I like the hat as well, with where you've used loyalty and devotion. You've turned it into the Ninja Turtles font as well. So yeah. Oh, I love hats. Yeah, I like that one.
give me your address, I'll send one to you. So,
absolutely, I will. But yeah, I love. I mean, that's what caught my attention. You know, man, they're so good and funny. I mean, I also like the. I think you did a Looney Tunes one as well, the Tasmanian Devil.
I've not done a Looney Tunes one, no. But like, I mean,
Oh,
things
I'm
like
sorry. It was.
No, don't worry about it. Like,
You done? I'm Mr. Meeseeks.
Yeah, we did Meeseeks. Yeah.
It's just pain, Jerry.
Yeah, 100%. And we, I mean, most people don't recognize it.
That's terrible.
We mashed it up with Predator as well, because it's the Predator's glove that's going through his skull. So.
I love Predator. Favorite Arnie movie.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So.
Yeah.
Like success with very nerdy stuff. I mean, one of our more well-known designs is the with the Deadpool T-shirt, which I don't think I've got any left in stock. I might have one somewhere, but yeah, the Deadpool T-shirt. I mean, the rule with loyalty was we never do reprints. We're a streetwear brand. We make a certain amount. Once they're sold out, that's it. But I've had to kind of grow up a little bit from only, at one point I was adamant T-shirts were only going to be £10, but unfortunately, like, the base cost of a lot of our T-shirts is at least a tenner now.
It's a business. It's a business, and independent businesses need that finance, in order for it to keep going.
They do. I'm very conscious about trying to keep things affordable for people, especially because I have a lot of customers in America, and postage is horrific at the moment. But
thanks, Brexit.
If I shoot myself in the foot with like charging too little, then loyalty doesn't continue. So I've had to kind of really kind of level up business-wise in the last year. In the last couple of years, really, we've had our best business years ever in the last 2 or 3 years. But even that's still being streamlined. I'm still trying to get to that next level, because really, like, loyalty is such an unknown kind of quantity. I've always felt that we've been one of the strongest kind of consistent brands for the last at least decade now. We've been going for 13 years this summer, and we've constantly worked with artists who are internationally recognized, like the guy that did the Force Failed Luke one. He's the official designer for A Day to Remember, Ice Nine Kills, stage designs, and we're very lucky to have been able to work with him, for example. I don't know if you're cutting out there or if you can still hear me.
Yeah, I got the bit where you said up to Ice Nine Kills, and then you came back and everything.
Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, so Mike Cortada, he designs, like, officially for A Day to Remember, probably the most well-known band that he does. But he, basically all the people that design for loyalty are friends from over the years where I've either been in bands or known people in bands. They're all graphic designers linked to the punk scene, basically. So not only do we try and nurture that kind of up-and-coming art and support up-and-coming artists, we actually, seek out people within the punk scene to work with. So not just as a cool brag, because I love being able to tell people that, Mike designs, for A Day to Remember and stuff, and he's literally the only artist they've ever used. So his artwork is very distinctive. and it's the same for like, you know, the guy that did this, or the guy like Matt that did the Turtles T-shirt. You know, they're each carving a niche
Yeah.
in the art world.
Speaking of South Wales, the April O'Neil shirt is modelled by one of our South Wales models, Miss Atom Bomb. You know, she did a great, you know, well, yeah, she did a great job with that in that T-shirt.
No, she's awesome. Like, she's one of my very good friends. So yeah, like,
Yeah.
and funnily enough, like I knew her through hairdressing as well, through barbering. So I used to work
Yeah.
at vintage car events with the team that she worked for, because she does her
Yeah.
other business is Rebel Rocker,
Rock and Roll Boutique.
something like that. Yeah.
Rock and Roll Boutique. Yes. I'll use a professional name, you know, to keep it says, you know, Miss Atom Bomb. Yeah, she does Rock and Roll Boutique and something, and you know, she's really good with her hair as well. But yeah, and now she's on more of the modelling again. But yeah, very awesome person.
Almost dropped the name by accident. So
yeah, it's like I don't want to be rude and not use their names, but it depends, you know, how they want to be called on social media. So that's why I try and keep it, you know, unless they say, oh, you can use my name, you know.
yeah.
You know, I got it. How did Frank Oz say it once? You have to keep it pure, you know. So
Yeah. He was an interesting guy.
Oh, I love him. I mean, he's this so humbled, well-behaved person in interviews, and he's so, you know, and yet when he's doing his job, whether it's directing or, you know, acting or, in my favoritism, puppeteering, you know,
I was going to say,
I mean, it's a totally different world. I mean,
Frank Oz was Muppets, wasn't he? Kermit the Frog and all that.
Muppets, Star Wars, and directed so many awesome movies as well. But when you watch him in interviews, he's so calm, he's so collective, he's very serious. So I think the humor comes from the performance, but when you see him in interviews, he's very like professional and great guy though. Man, this is one of the, I mean, I've had a good I feel like I'm not doing my show, I'm just having a conversation with it. I mean, that's part of the show anyway, but man, we talked about this and that tonight. Usually, I'm so thin, but it's really nice to know so much more. Not just, you know, the hairdressing and the merchandising, but to know that you've done photography. You're doing photography. To know that you were doing this and doing that, and to, you know, hear such, you know, humility. Honestly, this is like one of those TED Talk shows, or when you're just, you know, on a man. It's like when you read those old It's like when you read those old hardcore or punk magazines. You know, like you're having a one-on-one with Minor Threat or something, and you're just getting more than just an interview.
I mean, it's one of those few times, because I mean, me personally, I don't generally walk about talking about what I do, and to a lot of people that don't know me, like I do an awful lot. But I do all of that. You know, I often get asked, like, how do I manage to keep on top of it all? Because I'm currently in two bands as well at the moment, and one's quite well known.
Yes.
That one's not been announced yet, but like, it'll mean proper touring opportunities in Europe and America, and so I'm quite excited about that. But like, but yeah, like, you know, not only do I do all those other bits, but I also have obviously my hobbies and interests, and keeping fit. I go swimming most days. First thing, I usually get up at
I love swimming.
Yeah. I'm usually up in the pool by 7 and stuff. So, but
swimming.
Again, it all comes down to sort of, you know, just wanting to get the most out of every day and just be a healthy human being, you know, and prolong this crazy life that is, you know, my life, because I'm very fortunate to be able to do so many things I'm passionate about, and I appreciate that every day. So, so yeah, I don't really know where that's going, but I don't know if you had any more.
No. I know we're pretty much coming. Unfortunately, with Instagram, this only lets you go live for an hour, which sucks because, you know, there's but it's nice to talk about, you know, the business that you do, what you do and everything, and also things. I think I will, apart from the goodbyes and wanting you to come back to the show, I think I'll probably end this with a really important question.
Yep.
Of all time now, what is your number one favorite pizza topping?
Pineapple, of course.
And why not? Why not? Why not?
Yeah. Not even a thought process. So, like, I mean, if you'd asked me this 3 or 4 years ago, I probably would have said pepperoni. But we gave up eating meat about 3 years ago on New Year's Day, so we no longer have that. And as good as meat replacements can be, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with pineapple. Like, I'll literally eat pineapple on most things, to be fair. So
nice. Well, if we ever meet, I'm buying you a can of Lilt.
There we go. We can enjoy some Lilt together. And yeah,
yeah,
you should
I agree.
If you're in the area, you should come by the barbershop and stuff.
Yeah, so, I think I'll get I think you can blade my scalp and, smooth my things, but I'll definitely think. So, yeah, drop me the barber address, and if ever I'm in Wiltshire or in the vicinity, I'll definitely let you know. But I'll be having you coming back on the show in a few weeks. But honestly, Phil, it is such it's a blessing to have you on the show, and thank you for being here.
You're more than welcome. I've really enjoyed chatting to you.
I have, and so please follow Phil. Everything he's mentioned, this polymath. Yeah, polymath's the right word, and check out his merchandise. Check out just literally follow this guy, and we'll have you back on, very soon.
Yeah.
And
you mentioned about some kind of nerdy chat in July or something, didn't you?
Oh, yes. More will be detailed in that. So the final words I will have to say to you is be excellent to each other.
Yeah, be excellent.
And party on, dude. See you, man.
Yeah, good to chat. Have a good one.
Likewise. Good night. Good night.